Hi, I'm Nick.
And I'm Chelsea, and welcome to
Nick and Chelsea's Gen Excellent Adventure, where we chronicle 50-something parents of a 5-year-old as we move from the USA to the UAE.
You can also follow our journey on our Instagram page, Nick Chels Gen Excellent Adventure, or just type in the name of this podcast. If you have any questions or subjects you'd like us to address, go ahead and send them through our Instagram page.
So, Chelsea, Ramadan Kareem.
Oh, thank you. Ramadan Mubarak.
So, yes, we are now a week into the Islamic holy month of Ramadan. And this is our first time experiencing Ramadan in a Muslim country.
Yes.
So we will be talking about those experiences in this episode. But first up, we finally got to do one of the big tourist attractions that we've been meaning to do ever since we got here to Dubai.
Yes.
And that was, we got to do a desert tour.
Right. We gave you a little preview on Instagram. We put some photos up and talked about it a tiny bit, but we really wanted to go into it in this episode because it was so memorable.
Yeah. So let's kind of set things up as to what this is and why we wanted to do it and how it came to be that we are doing it now.
Okay.
So first of all, when we were first coming to Dubai, we had talked to people about who had been here about what the things to make sure you do while you're in Dubai.
Yeah.
And one of those things was to go out and do a desert tour.
Yes.
Which is basically kind of go into the dunes and sort of experience what life would have been for people who were living in that kind of environment in previous times.
Sort of, yeah. I mean, the way I think of it, I did a desert tour in Abu Dhabi that one time I visited. That was set up by NYU, but they used a professional company, and it was, dinner in the desert, a little camel ride, and I think they had some dune surfing options. But there's all these different ways to do desert experiences, and so we knew we wanted one.
Yeah, and so that was something that was always on our minds, but we also knew this isn't necessarily something that we want to do on our own.
Yeah.
We really thought that this was something that would be a good thing to do with people from the U.S. who were coming to visit us.
Yes.
So our people. If any of our people came to visit us, that we would take that moment to go ahead and do this.
Yeah, and our parents weren't that interested in it, so that didn't happen in December. But lo and behold.
Yeah, so I had a longtime friend, somebody I've known since grade school. He and his family did take the opportunity of us living here to come and visit Dubai.
Yeah.
And that just happened this last 10 days or so.
Yeah, and a longtime close friend who also was the best man at our wedding.
Yes, that's true. And so, we had, like you mentioned, our parents had come here.
Yes.
But we hadn't had any of our friends or anybody from our world outside of our direct parents.
That's right.
Come here. So this was a first for us.
Yeah, and I don't know that we maybe have one other family coming, maybe. But everyone else doesn't. I don't think we're going to get a lot of people coming. So we're so grateful to this friend.
And it's not like they're not staying with us or anything like that. They're here, in hotels and everything like that.
No family staying in our 2-bedroom apartment.
But we did see him quite a bit. And kind of felt like we were kind of hosting him a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. They definitely did their own thing. Like they got guides. They did tourism in Dubai well.
Right. But the best thing, though, is that they wanted to do this as well, to do the desert tour.
Yes.
And so we were able to do that all as a group.
Yeah, and it was super, and they were so generous. They basically took us on the desert tour, and we had an amazing experience. The wife booked the tour. She did her research. She was like, now, are you interested in the ATV? I was like, no, we're not. No dune busting, please. Thank you very much. Or dune bashing.
Dune bashing. Yes.
Yeah, no, thank you. And she's like, oh, phew. And then there was the other one she was talking about also required some physical.
Well, it was the belly dancers.
Oh yeah.
And because it's Ramadan,
right?
That was not a part of the program anymore. I'm guessing because of it being the holy month and wanting to maintain a certain level of modesty.
Yeah, probably. But it was fine. So she found this ecotourism experience, and I've never done anything quite like it. It was really incredible. It's a really well run machine. I think it's called Hero Experiences because that's what's on the water bottles. Hero Experiences. But they basically pick you up at whatever public location you ask them to. They won't pick you up at like your home. So they picked us up at the hotel our friends were staying in.
Right. Yeah. We went over to the hotel and
it should be mentioned that they were there with 2 of their 3 teens.
yes.
So we had our 5-year-old, and then there were 2 teen girls that our 5-year-old was obsessed with. Sorry, teens. But they did really well with him. And so it was our 2 families on the bus, and then they picked up one other group at like Dubai Outlet Mall.
Yeah.
A ways out.
Yeah. So we were on the bus, and we knew we were picking up another group, and they're going way out of town, and I'm like, where is the hotel out here?
I know.
There's not going to be any hotel out here. What is happening?
It is not a hotel, in fact.
We are pretty sure that they went and drove themselves to the outlet mall.
Yeah.
And just left their vehicles there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And actually even the guide said that, like, they might live in Sharjah or something and just like found a place that they could leave their vehicles. So that worked out fine. And then they take you into the desert, and then they bring you to where all these other groups have landed as well with the same company. Yeah.
And it's not that far out of town. I mean, once we... the outlet malls are pretty much on the outskirts of town. It was 20 minutes past that.
Yeah.
And it's on basically the same road we took to Oman. And so we went past the camel track, for example.
Yes. And actually this time, so last week or 2 weeks ago, we went past the camel track and no camels. Well, this time we saw people practicing.
They were, I don't think they were racing the camels yet, but they were definitely had their camels on the track. They might have been leading them.
They were in a pack.
Yeah.
And they weren't racing, but they were moving not slowly. Anyway, it was pretty exciting. And I think the girls got excited. Everyone was like, oh. So we got to see like a little, and we saw that a few times along the track's property, like were these packs being led. So that was cool. That was like a good intro to the future camel experience we were going to have.
So anyway, we get 20 minutes out of town. The bus takes us to what I guess I would call sort of the base camp.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what they called it, but yeah.
It was where all the various tours. I don't think it was just the one we were on. I think it was. Was it all?
It was all ours. Yeah, and they all had the same cars, those vintage vehicles. Yeah, it was all the same company.
Okay. But anyway, so they take us to this place where they have some tents basically are set up, and what they do is they get everybody into a headscarf.
Yes.
And so they have different ones for men and women.
Yeah.
You all got to choose your color.
Yeah. I got to choose my color based on my colors. I was thrilled.
Well, and I don't know how many people out there know, but this is a thing for Chelsea, a pretty big deal. The idea of colors. Why don't you explain?
Okay. Well, yes, I went and got my colors done when our kid was like 1. And it changed my life, people. It changed my life. I'm a blue autumn with House of Color. And I also got my style done a few months later. And it really did actually change my life. It changed my confidence level. It changed how I dress. I always feel like I know what I'm doing in that area, and I never felt like I quite knew what I was doing before that. Yeah, no, I buy lipsticks in that. I know everything about colors. Anyway,
your wardrobe is completely different.
Yeah, right. I changed
your
my
jewelry
whole wardrobe.
is completely
exactly.
different.
I went from silver to gold. No, and it's kind of funny because I had so many compliments on the headscarf color and how it blended with my shirt, and I was like, well, thank you for saying that, because now I'm going to give you a diatribe about colors.
Yeah, but we needed the guides to basically fold these onto our heads.
Yeah, because we can't do it. Yeah.
It was a very complicated process.
Yeah.
And I know that it's built or designed in a way to where you can do it in stages. So at one point you can go ahead and put it over your mouth and nose to protect you from the sand.
From the sand, while you're in an open air vehicle.
But we just had it over the top of our heads.
Yeah, they said you keep it down, and then when you're going back in the dark to put it over your mouth. But mine had fallen off by then, so not possible.
And then we filled up water bottles while we were there at that sort of base camp area to take with us.
Yeah. And they gave you insulated water bottles with their logo. And then they take you from there. You're in these like vintage open air vehicles. They're almost like Jeeps, but they're not Jeeps.
Yeah, they're basically safari vehicles. I think
that's right.
They
that's a good way to say it.
are, old school safari vehicles. I mean, these are things straight out of like the 50s or something
right,
like that.
Like you've seen them in movies. And actually, they're obviously collecting them. There were a combination of steering wheel on the left, steering wheel on the right. And you're like, oh, okay. And you had to go fast enough in the vehicles to go through like deeper sand.
Yeah, exactly. The joke was that if you didn't keep up a good enough speed, that we were going to have to get out and help push.
Yeah. So even though you're in these bench seats in the back, kind of in the like a cab almost, and sitting up pretty high, they did have seatbelts on those bench seats. So they were like a seatbelt for 2 people.
Right.
And you had to stretch it pretty tight though.
This is not going to pass industry standards in the U.S.
But
right
I
now.
sure was glad to have them.
Yeah.
But in my childhood, because we're Gen Xers, I rode around in plenty of cabs without any seatbelts.
Well, I mean, heck, I can remember, my daycare for field trips. We had one mom who had a station wagon.
Yeah.
Who was available during the day. So she would take like the whole group.
Of course.
And there'd be like 6 of us just sitting in the back of the station wagon.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was in the open air of the back of a truck several times because we had trucks. Anyway, these are things that would never happen now in the U.S. at least. But so it's been so long since I've been in that experience that I was very grateful for the seatbelt and grateful for the kids having a seatbelt. But anyway, they make you put the seatbelts on, they tighten them,
And then they drove us into the adjacent wildlife preserve.
Mm-hmm.
So this was an area that was protected.
Right. And it's royal family owned.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes. Yeah, it was. And because of that, we were able to actually get a little bit of a wildlife experience as we were going through the desert there. I mean,
it's beautiful.
It's late in the afternoon, so it's not sunset yet, but you're getting close to sunset.
It's also not scorching hot, thankfully.
And you're going through the desert, and you got the dunes and the shrubbery and so forth. I mean, it felt very authentic.
It was beautiful. And then we'd stop in these different places where they had views of oryx and of gazelles. These small gazelles, they're like a different type. Really gorgeous. Some were very, very close to the road, like they're clearly used to vehicles. Some were farther off. I got to test my new iPhone and I was like, oh, wow, this zoom is really good. But it was really cool. And then they also had like professional photographer and drones taking photos. So you could get like photos better than yours.
So you mentioned oryxes.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if everyone knows what an oryx is.
Yeah, I didn't.
So this is it's very gazelle-like or hoofed mammal-like, but it's white
with some black,
and then it has these very long horns that go straight up into parallel to one another.
Yeah, I'll do a reel that has some oryx pictures in it because I have one picture of an oryx that I took and I'm like, that is a really great photo. Like you really see what it looks like. And
they're majestic. Yes, for sure.
100% agree. It was really beautiful. And we're all sitting there like, oh, amazing. And it's not like we were looking at a safari. We weren't looking at animal after animal after animal, but just these 2 were what is in that preserve. And it was beautiful to drive around.
Yeah. I mean, even the driving was great.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I can remember kind of being in the backseat of the truck and just watching as the wind was blowing the sand across the dune, and it's kind of causing the ripple effects that make it almost look like it's waves.
Yeah,
and
agreed.
And that was just like, I feel like I'm in the desert.
Yeah,
it feels very much like, wow, this is where I'm living now.
This is the desert that we've been talking about, that we've heard about, we haven't really experienced. Well, and also, I mean, people do desert camping. We're not campers, really. We haven't done that. So this was really it for us. I will say that we talk a lot about how flat Dubai is. And it was nice to be there because we were also seeing kind of like contours in the desert.
Yeah, right. Not mountains.
No,
not like
dunes. But that was neat. It was nice to see. And like the first stop they did besides stopping to see the animals was actually up on top of a dune so that we could take photos. It's like a view spot. And that was really beautiful to look out over the desert from there and get there were people doing like influencer photos or just like, get me, videos of me walking away with my bareback shirt.
Yeah.
Like you were watching all sorts of things happening. But I was like, sure, you do you. Like, this is cool. And then they had professional photographer at like every stop. So then you could buy photos if you wanted to. And we did it. We bought the photos. Yeah.
Yeah, we were definitely not the best dressed of the people.
Oh my gosh, no. I was like, wow, you came to the desert and looked amazing.
Yeah.
I'm wearing a t-shirt. But my scarf is elevating my look. Yeah.
So, the only wildlife we saw while we were in the preserve were the oryxes and the gazelles. But we did make a stop to see a different type of wildlife.
And wild, but not that wild because they are protected there. It is a preserve. And they're very clearly comfortable for the most part with all the trucks wandering around.
Yeah,
so,
true.
yeah.
But the stop that we made was to see
a falcon.
Yes. So they gave us a falcon show.
Okay. So, and for people who don't know, falcons are really big in the Middle East. And I think from what I've heard, I don't know. From what I've heard, members of royal families in various countries own falcons. Yes, because there was royal family property out there. The tour guide was telling us that
there's a huge structure. It was it was almost like a complex that was essentially netted in.
Well, yeah, what I'm trying to say is they come there and stay sometimes.
Yeah.
And so they had that netted in area.
But that netted in area was
for
the falcon area.
For the so it was really big.
Yeah.
Which was thankful, right? You're grateful that the falcon has a place
we're
to fly.
talking that was, a many building sized netted in area.
Yeah, it had multiple netted in areas. Yeah. So anyway, we could kind of see that in the distance. He was pointing that out. But so they had a falcon handler, and he was demonstrating how they fly and how they keep a little thing over their
hood,
a hood over their head so they can't see, and that helps them be less scared because the minute you take the hood off and they can see everything, they're more frightened or worried about. They might be more likely to attack as a prey. But then he showed the flying and showed how they use food to keep them coming back. But he also just educated about falcons. Yeah, he was quite good.
So eventually they let the falcon loose. And he had a lure basically on the end of a long rope.
Oh, yeah,
and he was twirling that around, and that got the falcon to fly back and forth,
and you'd you'd feel the air as he'd fly over your head.
Well, and we weren't in the prime spot for this, but I mean, if you were in the middle of the seating area, that thing was buzzing right over your head, and I would have wanted to do that.
Yeah, you were really
I know not everybody in our group would have been excited to do that. Yeah, but I would have been excited to be right there in the path.
Well, for people who don't know, Nick owned a parrot. And sadly gave the parrot up this year, Nietzsche. But Nick has had Nietzsche since Nietzsche came out of the egg, basically. And so Nick is very comfortable with birds. He's good. He's a good bird owner. He's a good bird communicator. I am not comfortable with birds. So when there was an opportunity to go and hold the falcon, I was like, I'm good. But you and T went up.
Yes. Yeah. T really wanted to do this.
Yeah.
And we tried to do it before, but they ran out of time for everybody doing it before.
But they had time after.
But then they had more time after. Yeah.
And T used to hold our parrot, so it was a good opportunity to practice again.
And so when we say hold, I mean, there's a nice, big, thick glove, basically, that you're putting on. Well, more like a sleeve that you put over your whole forearm.
Right.
And so T got to hold a falcon.
Yeah, we got some amazing photos. I can't post those because his face is in them. But there is it was so special.
Yeah, I mean, my dad is now using that photo as his wallpaper on his phone.
Oh, that's so cute. And it was sunset. So it was just like a gorgeous time to be watching this, to be capturing it. Yeah, that was really cool. And then while we were there, so they had us on these rugs to watch this show and to listen to the demonstration, and with pillows. And then they, when we first got there, they gave out like rose water towels to clean your hands. And then they also gave you dates. And then they passed out dates with cheese inside. And then they also passed out this juice and then some yogurt drink.
So the juice, what, Vimto? Is that right?
Vimto, yeah.
So
and it was like a mixed berry.
It's a berry, yeah.
Yeah, mixed
berry
drink.
juice.
It was yummy. Anyway, so that was kind of nice. So you got to drink, you got to have some drinks, you got to have some dates. And then, and they also gave out cinnamon tea when we first got there. Mm-hmm. That's what it was. It was dates and cinnamon tea. And so you're just sitting there in the desert, drinking your drink, eating your dates, watching a falcon, going, oh, life is pretty good. Mm-hmm. This is pretty awesome.
Yeah. So after the show, we got back into our trucks, and they took us to the main camp.
Yeah.
Which was really the center of the main stuff that we were doing out there in the desert.
Right. We probably spent an hour prior to getting to the camp, close to an hour, because it was 35 minutes alone just at the Falcon show. It's probably an hour total. And then we got to the camp and we're there for like 2.5 more hours. And they really did a nice job. So we were in our own private, like tented area. And they have couches and tables and like a table we were 7 people. It fit us really well.
Yeah.
And so there were multiple rooms like that. And then they also had big spaces that were covered.
Yeah. More communal though.
More communal style. Yeah. So I don't know if it was for smaller groups or what you pay. I don't know how they discern who goes where.
Yeah.
And then they have stuff in the middle. So those were lining the sides.
Yeah, they were all covered. They were all tented.
Yeah, all covered. And then in the middle, there were big areas to go and sit to watch the performances or to have shisha, which is like hookah, which we have no interest in. But there were a few.
Open.
And that was open. Yeah.
And the middle is open to the sky.
Thankfully, I there were people doing shisha eventually. Like it didn't happen till later. I never smelled it.
I didn't either.
And normally I smell it and it's horrible. Mm-hmm. So I was so grateful. I was like, whatever way the wind is blowing, it's not hitting me. Thank you very much. They also had that set up while they did a stargazing lesson. Mm-hmm. And so once it was dark, they had us all sit down or lie down really in the center. They had you bring your pillows, lie down. They had a guy on a mic and he had this long laser beam, thick, long laser beam.
Yeah. It was a laser pointer, basically a nuclear laser pointer because
it was crazy.
The most powerful thing. I mean, how do you have a laser pointer powerful enough that you can point it up in the sky and basically do a circle on the star that
I
you're
was
talking
like,
about?
Okay, astronomy. I really have never seen anything like this, but also I don't do a lot of stargazing. So I hadn't gazed at stars like really for that long period of a time in decades.
Well, what's important to know is that, we're far enough out of Dubai that we don't have the same sort of ambient light.
Right.
So we were able to see a lot of stars.
It was gorgeous. It was special. And I also learned that my people in college who taught me what the Little Dipper and Big Dipper were incorrect. Completely incorrect. So we got like a constellation and star lesson.
Yeah.
And that was pretty cool. People were talking about the North Star. Everybody was wrong. That, some people knew, but most people had it wrong.
Well, I mean, one thing for us, we're at a different latitude than we're used to seeing the stars at from Seattle. And so the North Star, for example, was much farther down in the horizon
right.
Than just what we're used to seeing because of the difference in the latitude.
Right.
And because of that, I pointed at something I thought was the North Star, and it turned out to be Jupiter.
I thought something was a Little Dipper, and it was just built into Orion, and I was completely wrong. So I was like, what? But I heard people around me going, wait, I thought that was a Little Dipper. I'm like, it looks like a ladle. Anyway, it was a beautiful, that stargazing experience was peaceful. Yeah. I loved it.
But well before that, what was the first thing that we did when we got to the camp after they settled us into our spots?
Oh, we rode camels.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're 90-second rides.
But for example, T was so excited about the idea of riding on a camel.
Everyone was.
Yeah.
And this was the same type of ride I'd had 12 years prior. Definitely, I'm more scared of heights now. And I'm like, oh my God, I forgot. Camels are very high.
Well, and my friend's family, I mean, they made a beeline
Yeah.
to the camels as soon as we were all let off the leash.
Yeah. And if you're with a group, depending on how the group is set up, it's two people to a camel. So our family of 3, I had a camel to myself and you rode with T.
Yeah, and the camels were tethered together.
Yes. Yeah. So it was like 3 camels tethered together.
Yeah. And I'm sitting there. You know, the camels are sitting down when you're mounting them.
Yeah.
So not too difficult to get on them for the first time.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there and I just do not realize, there's a camel head right here underneath my arm from the one behind me. Okay, that's great.
That's funny.
And they were muzzled, so there's no danger of getting bit or spitting on.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know exactly the reason for the muzzles, but whether it's one of those two things, we were protected from
random children running too close that scare them. You know, like there's so many reasons that's a good idea. But if you have not been on a camel, you got to hold on tight when you're getting down, especially.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, is that the up and down is a ride.
Yes,
I mean, that
exactly.
is not
You're like,
some sort of smooth thing. You are almost being bucked up when you're getting up, and then going down a water slide coming down or something like that. I mean, it is wild when those camels are standing up and sitting down.
And I'm thinking, we did this for 90 seconds and I was like, okay, I'm good. My mom did this in Israel for like 2 hours, an hour and a half.
Well, I thought the actual riding on the camel was pretty smooth.
It was fine. I was so high though, and I was like, struggling a little bit with that. But I thought, I don't know. I mean, I could do it if I had to, but wow, that's a long time to go. Mm-hmm. If you do it all the time, of course not. But it seemed like that's a long time to go.
Well, from a personal standpoint, I found the riding of the camel to be pretty comfortable.
Okay.
When it was just going.
Nick doesn't have heights issues.
It was the woo when you're going up, and the whoa. I mean, holding on tight, but putting your body back and stiff.
Yeah. They tell you to hold on tight and lean back a lot when you're getting down, and I did that, and I was holding on so tight that when I held on even tighter, because it really does move you a lot when they're getting down, that I dug my I pinched my fingernails because I was like, because it pushes you so hard against the front. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to lean back. Anyway, it was fascinating.
Yeah. So after the camels, we were back in our tent, and they served us first the appetizers. Yeah. Which were pretty traditional, but nothing, all that different than what we generally eat. There's a couple of salads. There's like a beet salad.
Yeah, yummy
salad. They had falafel and samosas.
Yeah, way more food than you need for an appetizer.
That would have been enough for dinner.
It really.
Yeah. And that was just
that and the lentil soup. I would have been happy to have that.
Right, yeah, I forgot about
that. Because they also had this cracker bread. It was like a very crunchy bread that they said the way they do it is they sprinkle lemon over the top of your soup, and then you crumble up the bread into the thing and kind of like a crouton. And so everybody loved the soup.
Well, it was also great watching them make the bread. I mean, they were doing it on site there.
Yes.
And basically had this thing that looked like a giant drum. And it was flat on top.
Yeah.
And it was obviously very, very hot. And you could watch him actually baking the bread on top of that and kind of scraping the wet layers off to get it all smooth and thin.
And they also had, next to that, they had somebody making coffee from the bean. From the bean before it's even been shelled. I was like, oh, this is cool. And like coffee culture is really big here. So it was neat to see that. And then they also had like fresh fruit juices and then they also had camel milk. They had coffee, tea. Oh, they had coffee, karak, camel milk, regular milk. T and I both tried the camel milk and I was like, I'm fine with it, but I'm not needing any more. T was like, I don't like it. I was like, okay. I mean, it tastes very nutty.
And they, for the main course meal too, they also had all the various stations out there where you could kind of watch what they were doing in terms of how they cooked some of these too. They had some chicken skewers. They had lamb. They had this almost chicken paste where they ground the chicken down into this almost porridge-like substance.
We weren't fans of that.
They had fish there. They had vegetables. They had rice. And they brought us over to kind of show us all the various different things and how it was being cooked. And that was nice. But we were like the last ones there, so we were behind everyone for the view on this.
Yeah, couldn't see it very well, and that was fine. I think the camel meat people tried. Not everybody tried it. Did you get any?
I didn't get any. I wanted to try it, but it was like the amount we got, because we got like one portion to share on one plate, and then it turned out that most of what we got in there was peppers.
There just wasn't that much.
And so there really wasn't a whole lot of camel meat to try. And then by the time it was, to me, I think it was all gone. So
the chicken skewers were exceptional, like really, really good. And then other things were hit and miss for us, I would say. But it was the experience itself was really what mattered. And I know I loved the appetizers. I loved the salad. I loved the soup. And then I was like, okay, on the rest of it was fine. But like you said, I also wasn't hungry at that point. I was like, we've already eaten a fair amount. And I was trying to hold back and still, it was good. And then they also had dessert. So they had the lokia, the traditional, like basically little mini donut holes with date syrup all over it. They had that, and then they had fresh fruit. So that was nice too.
Yes. Well, and also during the meal, really early on, the women all went and got henna tattoos.
Oh yeah, they had somebody out there doing henna, and then they also had a drum performance.
Well, before we get away from the henna,
okay.
When this is basically a female tattoo.
Yeah.
But as soon as T sees something like that, he's like, I want to do that. And so we took him over to the booth as well. To see what would happen. And
she was so nice. She put a scorpion on his hand. He loved it.
He was thrilled, and he managed to keep his hand kind of level and
he was
not
very
get into anything. So
he was
dry.
Very focused on keeping it intact. Like he knew the assignment. He understood it. And then zooming forward a couple days, his friends at school, everyone noticed it, and he was delighted.
And it was a suitably masculine sort of thing, and
one of the tribes at school.
Yes, not his,
but still. So anyway, that was cool. And then they also had this kind of dance performance where they were throwing, I think, like rifles, like
they're long pistols, basically.
Yes.
So they were treating them like batons.
Yeah.
They were really twirling around a lot.
Yeah. And then in case anybody was wondering, because I was wondering the whole time until we got to the desert, to the camp, there are flush toilets there. So they had a lovely place kind of behind everything where you could go and get that taken care of. Because it's a long drive back. So this is what I'm wondering. I'm like, if I drink the karak, am I going to have a place to use the restroom? Yes. Anyway, so yeah, we had stargazing, we had food, more food. We had henna, we had camels, we had drumming.
Yes. So the last sort of performance was a traditional drum session.
Yeah.
And that was interactive.
Yeah, like a little bit of a lesson.
They wanted to have everybody come up, and they had these kind of handheld drums that they gave to everyone. There's no like drumstick or anything. You do it with your hands.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of tambourine sized, I would say.
Yeah, a little bigger maybe.
And then they had people trying to keep the rhythm and kind of walking in a circle around the main group that was on the middle.
Right. The main group in the middle had other types of drums. And then including, I don't know if it was a djembe, but something like that.
Yeah. So they wanted to choose one person to take the big drum.
Yeah.
And join them as part of the centerpiece.
Yeah.
Somehow that ended up being me.
You guys, this is so Nick too, to be the person like who ends up doing this. So like we've gone to this festival on Bainbridge Island. It's like a Japanese traditional Japanese festival. Around what are they making there?
They're making mochi.
Mochi, that's right. And then you've also been
Somehow I'm the guy who's got the big giant hammer that's hammering on this ball of rice.
So when you got the drum, I was like, of course. That makes sense. But you love that kind of thing. You're so into it. You're like, yes, I am going to learn this cultural thing. Yes, give me the assignment. I'm going to do it.
Well, the main thing is that if they ask, I will say yes.
Yes.
I don't know that I like go out and seek to be the person with the drum.
No, but you volunteered.
But there's no one volunteering, and they're looking around, and I will make eye contact, and if they go, here, would you take the drum? I'll go, okay, I'm doing it.
Yep.
And so that was, I was trying to figure out the beat.
Yeah.
Because the beat, I don't know, was a tradition. It wasn't a traditional 4/4 or anything like that. And I'm trying. This big bass drum around my neck, the straps around my neck, and I'm trying to figure out exactly how to do it and how to keep time with the other people, because you're in the middle. Everyone else, all the amateurs are around the outside, and it's the people who know what they're doing on the inside, except for me. And it's like, I don't know what the beat is. I'm trying.
I don't understand.
I'm trying. They're trying to get me to get it. I'm doing the best I can.
Yeah.
And eventually, I think I more or less got it.
Yeah.
Just stayed with the clapping.
Yeah.
And tried to be as loud as possible.
Now, unfortunately, once you were out of the outer circle, you were with T. He no longer wanted to do it.
Oh.
So that was the only bummer about you joining the inner circle, that I was like, this is awesome. I was trying to get T to do it because I was like, I'll walk next to you. He just was like, no, I was doing it with Daddy. And then he ran off. I'm like, okay, well. But he came back to watch you at the end.
Okay. All right.
So that was the only bummer. But all in all, hopefully our description of this helps you understand that this was a beautiful experience. Mm-hmm. It was a very good tour company, I would say. They really took care of you. They checked in on you all the time. We paid the 100 dirhams for the 10 photos. Because when I saw their photos, the ones of us and even a couple out in nature, but especially the one of T holding the falcon and some others, I was like, oh yeah, we need their photo. That's better. Yeah. That's better than any we got. And a couple of the other families. So it was kind of nice to have that. And then the water bottles were nice. You had something to carry around with you. Now, somehow, we ended up with how many water bottles?
We have 5.
But there's only 3 of us.
We have 5 of those water bottles, those branded, insulated water bottles.
Who needs a water bottle?
Which, we had one before that is exactly that style, where it's kind of the thin neck,
mm-hmm.
and then, gets wider as it goes down.
It's from a uni visit I went on.
That we've never used.
Yeah, I don't
and
think
now
we even realized
now we have
you had it.
an additional
now
5 of those.
6 of those. You were like, we need more insulated water bottles. I was like, do we?
Okay, so anyone out there need an insulated water bottle? We've got some we can
happy to
share.
pass on. Yeah.
Or if you need some reason to get one yourself, you can come here and do a desert tour. We'll go with you.
Yeah.
And we'll enjoy it again.
Yeah. It's really incredible. Okay, so desert tour, amazing. Moving on, it is currently Ramadan. It started last Wednesday.
Yeah, and we just wanted to kind of talk a little bit about what little we know now and what little experiences we've had to this point, because we've got 3 more weeks of Ramadan ahead of us.
Right.
So we've got more that we're going to experience, and I'm sure we'll be able to chance to talk about that in the future.
Right, and we're no experts on Ramadan, on the Muslim faith. We don't want to pretend that we are. It is nice to be in this area during this time because you really feel the celebratory nature of it, and just I've heard people say they really feel kind of a spiritual uplift in the air. I'd have to I give me another couple weeks before I can tell you if I feel that.
Yeah.
But at school, we are told to just make sure you're modestly dressed, which you kind of are anyway. So you don't eat and drink around people.
Well, let's talk about what Ramadan is first.
Okay.
So the main thing that we know about is the fasting.
Yeah.
So for Ramadan, Muslims will fast from sunup to sundown.
Right.
And that means not just not eating, they're not drinking anything either,
yeah,
including
no water. Right.
Which, to me, the idea of not even drinking water for the entire daytime in an environment like this, I don't know how anybody does it.
I don't know either, but I have not been, I wasn't raised in that. It's maybe different if you were raised in it, especially. And it should be noted that children are exempted from this. This starts like at puberty. So like our little kid, if he were Muslim, would not be fasting, which is appropriate. But that is why schools get out early, offices get out early, because they know that people are a little bit lower on energy. They're also up really late because they do sundown. There's a lot of like celebrations and gatherings, and that can go on pretty late. And so school starts a little later in the morning, not like a ton later, but a little bit later, 20 minutes later. And then we get out 2 hours earlier. So that's part of it. So the fasting is a big portion of it, but it's really about, I think, drawing closer to God during that month, and your sacrifice, helping that be understood. It's a little bit Lent-like in some ways, right? Or Lent is a little bit Ramadan-like, I guess. But there's no fasting in Lent, but there is that idea that I've never done Lent, but if you give up something, you're showing your ability to kind of be. You can explain probably better than I can, but you're showing your ability to be like more spiritual. You don't need this thing. So anyway, I shouldn't try to explain faith. That's a bad move.
Well, and getting back to, kind of the logistics of Ramadan. So the month of Ramadan is based on the lunar calendar.
Yes.
And so therefore it is a lunar month, which I think is more like 28, 29 days. And because the lunar calendar is based on the phases of the moon, a lunar year is 354 days instead of 365.
Yeah. Oh, they also explained all this on our desert tour.
Yeah.
Which was cool, because I was like, why, if we already know the calendar I don't understand, but it's because it's just a different calendar.
But as a result, so Ramadan is shifting every year.
Right.
It's
just like the Lunar New Year.
A week to 10 days earlier than it was the previous year. And so Ramadan this year started on the 18th? Was it February 18th?
Last Wednesday. Yeah. And it was, I think, there's like 2 days where Lunar New Year, Lent, and Ramadan all started on the same 2 days.
Yeah, that's a unusual convergence.
Yeah, pretty cool.
But they did not know what day Ramadan officially started until the night before.
That's right.
Because it's based on whether they see the moon in something.
Right. So there's a schedule ready at school for this day, or as I was like for Wednesday or Thursday. Most people thought it was going to be Thursday, and then nope, it was Wednesday. And that's fine. I mean, everybody is used to this.
But that's, I think, something we've found to be a normal thing here, is that a lot of these big occasions are about when they're going to be, but
right.
The officialness of it isn't determined until really the last moment.
Right, exactly.
And it's just different for us. I mean, we're in the
used
US,
to the Gregorian calendar.
You know what the dates are of events,
right, and dates of holidays, and
that's just not the case here.
Yeah.
And as we now know, Ramadan will start more like February 8th or 9th next year.
Right.
And then, I think it was 2030 when there's going to be 2 Ramadans in the same calendar year.
Yeah. And basically because
one will be start in January and one will start in December.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, it's great learning these things.
It really is. It's helpful.
We just wouldn't be getting this information unless you're seeking it out.
Right, exactly.
In the US.
It's kind of nice to just be exposed to it automatically. It is hard for me to remember, I'm not supposed to carry my water bottle around at school just to be respectful. And I'm like, oh, that is so hard. I'm so used to being able to do that. And you just make sure I'm not eating in front of students if they're in my office, things like that. But I really appreciate the learning. Now, there is a meal. It's called Iftar. That's when you break your fast. And we are really eager to experience an Iftar meal.
Yeah, this is a big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the restaurants have their Iftar meals.
Like every restaurant has an Iftar menu.
There's, Iftar events at hotels and such.
Yeah.
And, I'm sure that there's many a Muslim family here that will host iftar meals.
I think from what I've heard from one of my colleagues who is Muslim was like, we do this at home. Like we might go out once. No, we just have our iftar at home. That's just, we're not going into the crazy, but there are a lot of people out, like doing it out. And you can see there, but I think a lot of families especially are going to maybe be at home a little bit more.
And I think that, it would be nice if we were able to get close enough to a Muslim family that we would be invited over to iftar.
Yeah, totally.
And I think that would be, it's not like we're going to force ourselves upon somebody.
We're not there yet, but maybe by next year.
If that happens, I think that we would be pretty thrilled at the opportunity.
Yeah. But our school is going to host an iftar meal that any families are invited to. So we need to sign up for that. Hopefully we didn't miss it. And so that should be next week, I think, or maybe the weekend, the following weekend.
No, it's like on Thursday.
Okay, so that should be next week. So hopefully we'll have gone, maybe not by our next recording, but the one after that. And then we'll experience at least one of them. There's also some unis in the area that are hosting iftars for counselors. And I was like, is anybody going? I'd love to go to one of these. It just seems like a good opportunity to experience the ceremony of it.
Now, I said at the beginning of the episode, Ramadan Kareem.
Yeah.
And that is one of the greetings. It's sort of like Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
It's one of the greetings to say Happy Ramadan to somebody.
And I responded with Ramadan Mubarak.
Yeah. So those are kind of the two main ones.
Yeah.
And so we didn't really know what the difference was. And so I did a little bit of research.
Yeah.
And so what Ramadan Kareem is that's sort of the generosity is the theme of that. And that's a little of the less formal way of greeting. And then Ramadan Mubarak, that is the blessings.
Okay.
And that is a little bit more formal.
Yeah, and you hear Kareem more. So I felt like at first I was seeing Mubarak more, but when I've listened to people, I definitely hear Kareem more. And that makes sense, especially in a mixed culture, mixed religion environment, that less formal maybe makes more sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I used Ramadan Mubarak before I really understood that on a email I sent to families that I was asking for something. I don't think that was offensive. I just think, if I had understood that better, I would have probably said Ramadan Kareem.
Okay.
Anyway.
Well, let's get to a little bit of the more secular aspects of Ramadan that we know about so far. And first of all, Ramadan sales are a thing.
Yes.
I mean, it's almost like it's not even a month long. It's more like 2 month long President's Day sale.
Oh yeah, these started in January. I mean, like we went and got things at IKEA on a Ramadan sale in January. Mm-hmm. We're like, what? Okay. And then some of them end before Ramadan. Some of them are still going on. So in many countries, things will just be closed through Ramadan. They're just like restaurants might be open during sundown they'll be open at night, but like stores are closed.
Yeah. For example, we were told don't come to Oman during Ramadan.
Good advice, because nothing would have been available. Although we were only there for one day and we probably could have done that because we really didn't do a lot of shopping or anything. However, if you're there for a few days and you want to do things, it wouldn't be open. So, but Dubai, it used to be that way. And I understand it's just really been the last few years, maybe even the last couple of years, that it's shifted a lot. Everything pretty much does stay open. They might open later in the morning and they stay open later at night, even including the parks. Mm-hmm. They're open later, 12 a.m., 1 p.m. 12 or 1 a.m. And restaurants are open later. Malls are open till midnight instead of 11, or 1 a.m. instead of 11. Like malls are open late here anyway. Now they're just open even later.
Yeah.
So really, like, I feel like what we've been experiencing in Dubai, like this is such a nighttime culture. And Europe's a later culture than the US too, but not the same as this. We're hearing kids playing at 11 p.m. in our hallways and we're like, what the heck? I think this must be where it stems. Like this just spreads out all year. How do you change your whole schedule for 1 month and then just change back? It just seems like, this is part of that culture. And Ramadan can be at any point of the year, depending on the year. So I think maybe I'm just speculating, but maybe that's where it comes from.
So the other secular thing that I was very curious about is that we had many people looking so forward to Ramadan because the traffic would clear up. Because there wouldn't be as many people out on the road because they were at home fasting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I've seen the evidence of this yet. I mean, granted, we're only a week into it, but for the most part, I felt like we have run into the same kind of traffic issues as we're used to.
Yeah, we drove to a new park today, and we'll talk about that in our next episode, but it took almost an hour to get there. And it only took us 23 minutes to get home, but the traffic going the other direction was like stop and go. So we were like, interesting. Yeah. You did say you went to Improv last night and the traffic was better.
That was the one time I have experienced less traffic, and that was kind of the late end of rush hour.
It also would have been like during Iftar. So that maybe makes sense. Whereas when you had traffic on the way back, that would have been probably at the end of those meals.
Yeah.
So that kind of makes sense. Anyway, moving on to our weekly segment of
our Excellents and Boguses.
Okay. All right. Nick, you want to go first?
Yeah. So, my excellent is, we had friends come and visit us for the first time.
It felt so good.
It did. I mean, it felt just, it really warmed the heart having somebody. I mean, they weren't just coming here to see us. I mean, they were here to see Dubai.
No. And they did a great job of it.
They were, on top of things.
They were like,
probably have seen more of the sites than we have.
They absolutely have. And because they hired guides for some of it, they really got insight into the country, and they valued that a lot.
Yeah. But it just, we're a long way from Seattle, from the Pacific Northwest. And so you do feel a little isolated from what your world was.
Yeah.
So anytime you have any kind of ability to connect, it just feels very special.
It also just means a lot to be able to show our new life to people that we know, and you especially know them. I don't really know them that well. But it was even though I don't know them that well, it felt meaningful to me. And it was also this opportunity to get to know them, which is my excellent.
Yes.
My excellent is I got to know this family in a way I just didn't know them before. And that was really meaningful for me. I mean, this friend of yours has been your closest friend for years and years. And, like I said, was the best man in our wedding. And it was just really nice to spend time with him and his closest people. And so I loved it.
He's of Irish descent, and he came and went to Gaelic with T and me.
Yeah.
And so he got to get a little feel of that as well.
Yep.
And it was pretty cool to be able to take him out to do that.
Yeah, and T loved it. T always loves a new adult in his life. And then T even convinced him to sit in the back seat with him on the way back. So you got to chauffeur them around.
Yeah, he was talking about how they've been getting driven around everywhere anyway, so it felt very familiar.
Yeah. And they did a day in Abu Dhabi, again with a guide. They saw the Grand Mosque. They saw the Blue Mosque here. They got a tour of Old Dubai. They went back to a couple places they really liked. They saw the Frame. They saw the Miracle Gardens. They saw the Burj. They saw the Fountain. Like, they really did in their 10 days as much as possible.
Yeah. It was actually quite impressive to watch.
I know. I was like, wow, I'm tired, but good on you. That is really impressive. And I think they had a great time.
Yeah, they really seemed to enjoy the experience.
Yeah.
And I really appreciated that as well because, I imagine there's some people out there who don't know if they would enjoy coming and visiting Dubai.
Yeah, y'all, Dubai, people have perceptions. It is an excellent tourist destination. They do it well for tourists, and there's so much to see. Hopefully this desert experience sold some people on it, but there's a lot of other things, like the way they did it with the guides. And when I did that Abu Dhabi trip, we had guides on a couple places, including at the mosque, and that was so informative and interesting. So I think get a guide.
Well, or, maybe you're the want to be on a resort on the beach type.
Yeah, there's plenty of that.
You can do that just fine here too.
Plenty of that. But if you were like, oh no, I want a cultural experience, I'm not a beach person. And like a lot of my friends are not beach people. They would rather have a cultural experience. You can have that here. Mm-hmm. And they really showed that with their trip. Yeah. That was cool. Okay, so you're bogus.
Yeah, so this is going off the board a little bit because this is a subject we have not discussed in a while.
Oh, yeah.
But as we know, I have been seeking employment of some sort and am getting a lot closer now.
Yay!
And
exciting.
But one of the things you have to do for a lot of these job requirements is you need something called a police clearance.
Yeah.
And basically what it is you're getting a check of your records by the Dubai police.
Right.
Saying that you have no record.
Right.
And that's fine. And the problem is that this costs 220 dirhams.
Yeah.
Which, okay, that's fine. You do it once. But part of the problem is that you have to fill it out to who it's going to.
And you can't fill out more than one company.
So what it turns out is that basically you need to do this for every single place that you reach a certain level of applying for a job.
Yeah.
So I have had to do 2 of these now.
Yeah, so now you're at 440
and it's
dirhams.
like, come on. I mean, that happened literally 2 weeks earlier. There's no difference in my record.
And it could potentially be a third time.
I could cross out... all you're doing is picking out a name of a company from a drop-down box.
Oh,
I mean, it is
like
not.
And so there's nowhere to add in a second.
Right?
Company.
Yeah, that's
so
all you're doing. And it's the endless drop-down box because they put in every employer in the entire city.
Oh, jeez.
And it's not in alphabetical order or anything like that. So you just keep scrolling until you happen to come across what you're looking for.
I didn't know that.
And
that's funny.
Yeah, the idea of having to do this and pay for it every single time you get to a certain state in a job application, it's like, oh no, that's a real bummer.
And now it's possible these jobs that you had to do that for, we knew they weren't going to pay for it. It's possible you could have a job that would pay for that, or pay you back.
Yeah.
But yeah, frustrating. So, yeah.
Okay, so that's my bogus. How about you?
My bogus is that it's February and it's so hot. Like, come on. I was told we got 4 months of great weather, and I'm like, it's so humid today. I just went on a walk with my friend, and I was like, why is it so humid out here? We were out today at a park, and I was like, oh, my gosh, humid bugs. I took out the bug spray. Yeah, so we've been told this has been a much hotter February than normal. So January was heaven to me. It was pretty cool. Like, I literally wore a hat one day. I didn't really need it, but I just was like, oh, but I can. But it was
by hat you mean a beanie hat?
A beanie, yeah. I wore it like on a walk at night. Could wear a little hoodie, whatever. It was cool enough to do that. Now I'm like, nope, nope. None of that. Give me sandals.
I was beginning to wonder if we'd been misled in terms of.
I was told we got 4 months of nice weather.
But since then, we have heard from multiple sources that this has been an unseasonably warm February.
Yeah, and maybe it'll go back, but I doubt it.
I think we've probably reached the point of no return on that.
Yeah, because one of my coworkers said the fog's here, so it's just going to get warmer. I was like, oh,
and
okay.
So we're just a little unfortunate that we happen to have a first year here where the winter just ended earlier than usual.
Which is why we say to people, come in January. But our friends came in February, and it was hot, but it wasn't unbearable. It was more like if they had gone to Hawaii or something, it would have been similar temperatures to what it was here.
When you say so hot, I mean, we haven't hit 90 yet.
No, it's like in the 80s now.
We've got a long way to go to get to those maximums.
But it's going to get there. So you're like, oh man, why is it already so close? Yeah. But it's fine. It's still handleable. We're still able to go outside and enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah. And hopefully we can extend that.
Yeah. And that's the nice thing about Ramadan being right now, because we're getting out of school early. We are trying to do some adventures in this weather. Mm-hmm. And if this were April, we would not probably want to be doing that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So I think that concludes our episode.
Yeah.
Again, thank you for listening, and you can always follow us on Instagram, where you can get some bonus coverage and some bonus content.
We've got our Oman reels up there. We've got a reel from the pond park. Yeah.
And as always, be excellent to each other.
Have a great week, everyone.